Pass the salt.
It's time.
Hey, you, pass the salt.
You know what, why it's disintegrating? Because we're jellyfish.
Pass the salt, will you?
Pass the salt.
Pass the salt, amigo.
It's time.
I think they could give us a new name. I believe we are Evan jellyfish.
Hey, will you pass the salt?
Pass the salt.
We need salt over here.
It's time for Pass the Salt.
Pass the salt.
But we like to share the gospel without any backbone to it, see?
The views, opinions, and seemingly outrageous comments expressed in this program are based on the Holy Spirit leading of a man called Coach.
I gotta ask you this out there, Christian America.
It's time for Pass the Salt with a Coach, Dave Daubenmire.
Hey, good Monday morning. Good Monday morning. I just walked out on the front porch here at my house. I said, Michelle, come here. The most unbelievable full moon. I don't know what it is where you guys are. Wow. Full moon here at 7 o'clock up high in the western sky, looking right out of our front porch. It's kind of humbling, you know? Kind of humbling to look up at that moon and think how much we really think we're in charge and in control, and well, we have no understanding, do we? No. Jeremiah passed last night. I think most of you probably heard that, and like most of you, been a real. He passed at about 8:20 Eastern Standard Time last night. Been a real time of reflection for Michelle and I, thinking about the loss of a child, what that would be like, and thinking about, my goodness, what the Thomas family's been through since April 1st, I think it was. Rob Pugh, in fact, I think it was right after you had your event up there in March that Rusty returned home, and it happened like that next week. And so you think about April, May, June, July, August. 5 months. What that family's been through. Remember, Rusty flew Jeremiah to Mexico, somewhere down in Mexico. Started the treatment down there, and tumor wouldn't quit growing. That's after he'd had surgery at the hospital there, and making some funny noises here. After they'd had surgery at the hospital there in Austin, I think it was, and they flew to Mexico, and then they came back to San Diego, and they took that jet flight back home to Austin. And you know, in the death of Jeremiah, there's a lot of stories, a lot of things to factor in the death of Jeremiah. I said to Michelle last night as we turned off the light and laid our head on our pillow to sleep, my, how the Thomas family life will change this morning. The last 5 months. I think we would they showed us how to die well, didn't they? They showed us how to die well. Not just Jeremiah, that whole family. Rusty and his love and his faithfulness towards his son, and his love and his trust in his Savior. It's an amazing thing to watch. And I jumped on Facebook this morning as I'm getting off of Facebook. I'm going to explain that one here in a second. But I jumped on Facebook and I watched. It was unbelievable how many Facebook feeds there were about Jeremiah Thomas. He died well, didn't he? And think how many lives he touched in the last 4 or 5 months of his life. We will never be able to know what that was like. We'll never know. It will reverberate throughout all eternity. But we grieve nonetheless, don't we? Feel bad for Rusty and Kendra, the Thomas Nation, the entire Thomas Nation. And I'm glad this morning. I got a lot of stuff I want to talk about. I just want to get some of this off my chest. Jared, I'm led to Ecclesiastes today. Been thinking about a lot of things. I've been thinking about. I'm going to try to tie some things together here. I guess strain of what they call that, stream of consciousness just for me as I took my grandchildren on Saturday evening. My wife and I loaded up the kids and I drove them down this old back road down by a cornfield, and they jumped out and played in the corn. And we have a big water tower in town. They got out and they ran around the water tower and looked up. We headed back. We stopped by on the way out is a cemetery. And the next thing I know, we're in the cemetery. And there my grandkids are running around looking at the tombstones, trying to point out to them, how old this one was. And I knew that person and I knew that person in my hometown, right? In our hometown. And I began to think, every one of those people laying in that graveyard, every one of them were once alive. And I was looking at some of those tombstones and I won't say the name. I saw a name, said, oh, golly, I remember him. When did he die? Oh, 2000. I'll see another one. When did he die? Oh, my goodness, 1996. I look at another one. They've been dead how long? These are people that I grew up. They were friends of my parents. And vanity, vanity, all is vanity. I'm just laying in Reese said, what are they laying in, Grampy? So whether they're laying in a box. And if we dig down there, we would find a box, a casket that they're in. And I started to think about how so much of us, many of us, we live our lives in pursuit of things that we don't even know we're in pursuit of. Why we cling so hard to this life, and why we are so unwilling to lay down our lives, even though the scripture tells us that there's great glory in that, laying down your life. Great glory in it. And foolishly, we tend to believe that we can keep living, that somehow this thing called life is within our control. And I think about Rusty and Kendra, and when the word first came across my computer that Jeremiah had cancer, and it was an aggressive cancer and bone cancer and unresponsive to treatment, 3 months to live and 2 months to live. And how your faith begins to play in at that point, say, no, that's not true and that won't happen. And God said he will live and not die. And we're going to pray for healing, and all the thousands and thousands and thousands of prayers that went across the globe for Jeremiah. The Lord opened up the door for Jeremiah to meet with the governor, but at least by phone, plead for the life of the unborn. What? What is our life? What is your life? It's but a vapor. It's here and it's gone. Jeremiah Thomas is the meme I posted on Facebook. Jeremiah Thomas is more alive today than he's ever been. And I reminded of all those tombstones in that cemetery where I'd taken my grandkids. Vanity, vanity, all is vanity. So I was driven this morning to Ecclesiastes. I'm not heartbroken. I just grieve for what that family has been through. What an example they have been. When they wake up this morning, when Rusty and Kendra wake up this morning, they don't have to run in the room and see how they can help Jeremiah. And Jeremiah, if we believe the word, Jeremiah just got a promotion. We don't understand it. How would this deadly cancer seize that young guy's body? Why would a loving God allow that to happen? Well, all the questions are there this morning, aren't they? But you got to remember, it's about us now. It's not about Jeremiah. As Paul said, I run my race. I've finished my course. I've kept the faith. What about you? Me? Are we able today to run with patience the race that is set before us? Does anybody know what the future holds? Anybody watching this show right now? Does anybody know about the safety and the security of your own children? Anybody know about the safety and security of your own life? As much as you want to try to control things, realize that you're not in control of anything. And realize that the scripture says that life is but a vapor, it's here and then it's gone. That Jeremiah Thomas is now with his mom, wherever his mom is. Jeremiah's mother died when he was like 3 years old. Vanity, vanity. I mean, he's Ecclesiastes 2. Ecclesiastes 2. I don't mean to be morbid today. I mean, he's just, man, if these kind of thoughts don't come to you at this time, I am so grateful that Jeremiah is home with the Lord. He's more alive than he's ever been. And I grieve for the Thomas family and those that love him that he's gone. The writer Ecclesiastes said, I said in my heart, go to now, I reprove thee with mirth, therefore enjoy pleasure. And behold, this also is vanity. See, if you're living your life simply for pleasure, what a mess that is. I said of laughter, it's mad. And of mirth, what doeth it? I sought my heart to give myself unto wine. Anybody been there? Been a period of my life, gave my life to wine, yet acquainting my heart with wisdom, to lay hold on folly till I might see what was good. Was that good for the sons of men, which they should do under the heaven all the days of their life? And Solomon said, I made me great works. I builded me houses. I planted me vineyards. I made me gardens and orchards, and I planted trees in them of all kinds of fruit. I made me pools of water to water therewith the wood that bringeth forth trees. I got me servants and maidens, and I had servants born in my house. And also I had great possessions of great and small cattle above all that were in Jerusalem before me. I was Donald Trump before there was Donald Trump. I gathered me also silver and gold and the peculiar treasures of kings and of the provinces. And I got me men singers and women singers and the delights of the sons of men as musical instruments and all that and that of all sorts. I had it all, Solomon said. So I was great and increased more than all that were before me in Jerusalem. Also, wisdom remained with me. My wisdom remained with me. And whatsoever mine eyes desired, I kept not from them. Do you understand that? He got everything he wanted. I withheld not my heart from any joy. For my heart rejoiceth in all my labor, and this was my portion of all my labor. And then Solomon sits down, and he said, then I looked at all the works of my hand. Everything I owned, everything I bought, everything I built, every person I owned, every man slave and woman slave, every high house on a hill, every cow, every child, and on the labor that I had labored to do it. And behold, all of it was vanity and vexation of spirit, and there was no profit under the sun. So you can accumulate all this stuff, and when you go, you might as well not have any. We look at our lives and look what we give our lives to, and what we sacrifice our lives for. And Solomon said there was no profit under the sun. And so he said, I turned myself to behold wisdom, madness, and folly. What can the man do that cometh after the king? Even that which hath already been done. Then I saw the wisdom. Then I saw that wisdom excelleth folly. Wisdom was more important than fun, as far as light excelleth darkness. The wise man's eyes are in his head, but the fool walketh in darkness. I see a lot of fools on Facebook. And I myself perceived also that one event happeneth to them all. Death, right? And I said in my heart, as it happeneth to the fool, so it happeneth even to me. And why was I then more wise? Then I said in my heart, this is also vanity. For there is no remembrance of the wise more than of the fool forever. Wow. Ain't no difference between Jeremiah and George Washington. Seeing that which now is in the days to come shall all be forgotten. And how dieth the wise man? He dies as a fool. And Solomon said, therefore, I hated life, because the work that I worked under the sun is grievous unto me. For all of it is vanity and vexation of spirit. Yep, I hated all my labor which I had taken under the sun, because I should leave it unto the man that shall be after me. Pulled out work and time and effort and energy into it, and was leaving it all behind. And who knoweth whether he shall be a wise man or a fool? This guy I'm leaving all this stuff to, is he going to be a wise man or is he going to be some fool? Yet shall he have rule over all my labor, wherein I have labored, and wherein I've showed myself wise under the sun. This also is vanity. Therefore I went about to cause my heart to despair of all the labor which I took under the sun. For there is a man whose labor is in wisdom, and in knowledge, and in equity. Yet to a man that hath not labored therein shall he leave it for his portion. This also is vanity, and a great evil. What can man say of all of his labor and vexation of his heart, wherein he hath labored under the sun? For all of his days are sorrows, and his travail grief. Yeah, his heart taketh not rest in the night. This all is vanity, meaning emptiness, worthless. There's nothing better for a man than that he should eat and drink. He should make his soul enjoy good in his labor. This also I saw, that is from the hand of God. For who can eat? Who else can hasten unto more than I? For God giveth to a man that which is good, in his sight wisdom and knowledge and joy. But to the sinner he giveth travail, to gather and to heap up, that he may give to him that is good before God. This also is vanity and vexation of spirit. Keep going, Jared. I'm about done. Remember, no chapter break. So to everything, there's a season. The time to every purpose under heaven. It's a time to be born, a time to die, time to plant, time to pluck up that which is planted, time to kill and a time to heal, time to break down, a time to build up, time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together, and a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. There's a time to get and a time to lose. Time to keep and a time to get rid of some stuff. Time to rend and a time to sow. Time to tear and a time to sow. Time to keep your mouth shut and a time to open up your mouth. Time to love and a time to hate. Time of war and a time of peace. And what profit hath he that worketh in that wherein he laboreth? I've seen the travail which God hath given to the sons of men to be exercised in it. He hath made everything beautiful in his time. Also, he hath set the world in their heart so that no man can find out the work of God, that God maketh from the beginning to the end. Isn't that something? I know that there is no good in them, but for a man to rejoice and to do good in his life. And also that every man should eat and drink and enjoy the good of all his labor. It is the gift of God. I could go on and on and on. For everything, there's a season, a time to every purpose. So, cling lightly, boys, to what you own. Cling lightly. And think of the impact that Jeremiah Thomas had more impact in the last 5 years of his life for good than most men will ever have in a lifetime. Ecclesiastes 7, real quick, Jared. Verse 1, a good name is better than precious ointment. Jeremiah Strong. Jeremiah will forever be remembered as the suffering young man who put unborn children before his own life. A good name forever. And here's the part that confuses us all. In the day of death, in the day of one's birth, a good name is better than precious ointment, and a day of death is better than the day of one's birth. So it's better to go to the house of mourning than to go to the house of feasting. For that is the end of all men, and living will lay it to his heart. For sorrow is better than laughter, for by the sadness of the countenance the heart is made better. The heart of the wise is in the house of the mourning, but the heart of the fool is in the house of mirth. Somebody come on in here. I just wanted to, that was just on my heart here this morning. I had to get that out.
Hey, Coach.
Hey, Dale.
Whew. Hard time.
Yep.
But the Lord showed me this morning, 1 Corinthians 2:8 said, which none of the princes of this world knew, for had they known it, they would have not crucified the Lord of glory. I think Satan overplayed his hand by touching Jeremiah's body with cancer. And
Amen.
I believe that day, that summer last year, when God touched Jeremiah and catapulted so many people into the battle, I believe that day, that tip of the spear began to drive through Satan himself. And I believe through his legacy, Satan is going to regret the day he touched Jeremiah's body with cancer.
Dale, we don't realize it. See, this sound morbid. Jeremiah's cancer was a promotion. God used that beyond what we could ever imagine. Now, Dale said, with none, the 1 Corinthians 2:8, which none of the princes of this world knew, for had they known it, they would not have crucified the Lord of glory. Watch this. This is Jeremiah. But it is written, eye hath not seen, nor ear heard, neither have entered into the heart of man the things which God hath prepared for those that love him. Jeremiah loved the Lord. That's his promise. As the rest of us try to cling to this, thing called life. Somebody else, come on in.
Dave.
Yeah.
You know, my family, we did not know the Thomas family personally, but we felt like we did. And I don't have anything really profound to say today, but as a parent, and many on the huddle as parents, there's just a sadness. I understand he is with his Lord, and I'm thankful and grateful for that. But there's a sadness, and I think it's okay to have that sadness.
Yeah, we weep for ourselves. We don't weep for him. We weep for ourselves.
It you know, you're heavy-hearted. As a good man, a good family. But I think we have to understand, and this will be about as profound as I get, but either we believe in all of it or we believe in none of it. He is either in control or he is not.
We were either believing that the Lord's will would be done or not, right?
Yeah.
Think of the thousands and thousands and thousands of prayers that went up.
Yeah. So he is with his king. I think the only thing I'd add is the need to be near to the family, not only this week. For those that know the family well, I do not, but not only this, but 6 months. I can only imagine that the grief and loss stays, even with the knowledge he's with his king. The grief and loss stays. It doesn't dissipate quickly.
You know, all the family was there last night. Well, not all of them, but many of the family and friends were there last night when Jeremiah took his last breath. And I know Rusty and Kendra wouldn't mind me sharing this. At the end, Jeremiah was having internal bleeding. And he was in and out of consciousness, mostly out of consciousness. But as his lungs would fill up with blood, he had a bar up on top of his bed, and he would sort of unconsciously reach up and grab that bar and try to pull himself up to clear room in his lungs for the air. You have to sit there and watch that. I can't imagine. But what most of you don't know is when Jeremiah crossed over, the Thomas family went out and had a praise and worship service in their living room. Amazing.
Amen, Coach. Great job this morning lifting Jeremiah and Rusty and that family. Just looking back over all the time we've spent with them out in the streets. You hit it on the head this morning, brother. Good job.
Hey, Coach.
Yeah, George.
You know, Coach, what comes to mind, Roger said either we believe none of it or we believe all of it. And even in this sad time, you know, think about what our blessed hope is. The blessed hope, and Jeremiah, he's just waiting a little bit ahead of us, but in a sense, we're all waiting too. We're really waiting. The blessed hope is the resurrection, when our bodies will be resurrected and we will get a glorified body. And I think sometimes we forget that the Bible calls that the most blessed hope.
Yeah.
And without that hope, see, Christ was the first fruit of that. He showed us the way. When he was resurrected, we too will be resurrected. Now, Rusty, his spirit is in the presence of God, waiting, just like ours is. We just haven't, you know, and maybe we won't experience that. Maybe we will, a physical death. But regardless, he's waiting. And just think of that glorious resurrection, just like those of us that love God will be resurrected with a eternal body that will never wear out, a perfect body for eternity.
Hey, George.
Amen.
Jeremiah is not resting. Jeremiah has become part of the great cloud of witnesses.
Amen, Ben. He's not resting in peace.
They are screaming to us to run our leg of the race.
Hey, Coach.
Yep.
You mentioned the thousands of prayers that were going up. You know, some of those prayers were God healed Jeremiah.
Most of them were.
Some of those prayers were, God, your will be done in this matter. One prayer got answered, the other didn't. And that's the difference. I think Solomon, and writing Ecclesiastes, I think that's the difference that he eventually came to realize, that, you know, trying to figure your own future, trying to figure your own path, and taking joy and pride in your own accomplishments is vanity. When it all boils down to God is in charge, and we need to learn to pray that way, because when you do that, you don't feel disappointed and cut off and rejected when your prayer that you wanted to see the outcome of was not answered that way. It causes internal conflict. I know, because I used to do that. But when you spend years and decades of praying for God's will, you learn to trust that. And boy, I don't know. I did not know Jeremiah personally, but I do feel sadness for his family. But like they went and had her praise and worship, I feel victory for Jeremiah.
Amen. So I didn't say this to my wife last night. She fell asleep, or maybe I fell. I don't know what. I was thinking, all of us think about our own children and Thomas Nation and all that, And I said, would you rather, thinking to myself, would you rather get a phone call that your child was killed in a drug overdose or got drunk, went left to center and killed himself hitting somebody else? Or would you rather have 5 months of walking through the journey of death together with him? And I can only imagine how much more deeply Rusty and Kendra, his family, have been drawn to the Lord as a result of the way Jeremiah died. And there are people right now watching this show know exactly what I'm talking about. The surprise phone call you get of a death of someone out of the blue, out of nowhere. I think that Rusty and Kendra and the Thomas Nation and Jeremiah's friends and Jeremiah himself had the opportunity to say goodbye and love on each other, and it's a blessing in itself. And life's but a vapor, baby. It's here and then it's gone. It's been an amazing journey to watch, hasn't it? Now we got to hold the feet to the fire to all those guys that said the governor and all of them said they're going to end abortion. Now we got to hold their feet to the fire.
There's a lot of testimony. Jeremiah was going to be a football player. That was his aspiration. That was his life. He and my son were really close. But I'm going to continue back into Hebrews chapter 12 because it's for us now. And it says, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which does so easily beset us. And let us run our race with patience that is set before us. Watch this. Looking unto Jesus, the author and the finisher of our faith. God finished Jeremiah's book. That book is finished. My question to us and everybody else who's listening, who's writing your book? Did you take the pen out of God's hand? Or is he writing your book? And if he is, he gets to write it the way he wants to. And Larry, God answered all those prayers. Jeremiah was healed, and he no longer is in any pain, and cancer no longer riddles his body.
And so you think about my, I guess as I was wading through this stuff, I found out about 9 o'clock last night. I guess it was our time. I thought about, I looked around me. I looked around me of the vanity. All is vanity around me. How many family and friends and loved ones and associates do I have who are walking in such darkness, who have rejected so great a salvation? I watch of all the media, I couldn't even watch it, going on about John McCain. Vanity. All is vanity in the life of John McCain. And if I were to be a father today, would I rather be the father of John McCain or Jeremiah Thomas? And how even in Christian circles, in Christian churches, in Christian high schools, in Christian universities, the whole focus of our educational system is life, not sacrifice. It's all, what can I get out of it? How can I have a better life? How can we get them a good education so they can go get all that stuff that Solomon told us is vanity. It's all vanity. It's all empty. It's all meaningless. And how even in America's Christian churches and Christian schools, because I have been there, see the promotion and the teaching and the seeking of vanity. All is vanity. So you ask yourself, well, Coach, what would you do? You had a child, raise your child, you've got grandkids. What's the goal? What's the prayer? What's your goal for your grandkids? What would you like them to do? That's a startling question, isn't it? No, I want them to be a doctor. No, I want them to be a lawyer. No. I want them to be a politician. No. See, how does a child like Jeremiah arise? I'll tell you this. I'm sorry, I got to go there. Rusty and Kendra never for the first second gave the education of their child over to anybody but them. Never for a second. And they raised up a child who was a warrior in Christ because he was unstained by the desires and the fleshly lusts of the world. Not that he was perfect, not that he didn't have love. That's not what I'm saying. But he didn't go to school 7.5, 8 hours a day into the pits of hell, be indoctrinated. And look at that family and how well they died. How well they died. All of them. They all died together with Jeremiah, part of them. And I look at Christian families in America today, and it's just, oh, it's so shallow. Our Christian faith has become so shallow. I'm talking to me now. And even though we've been told to die to ourselves, even though we've been told to present our bodies a living sacrifice, Jeremiah did. And you can say, well, Coach, he was forced to. Yeah, I suppose he was forced to. I suppose that was the trail. Those were the steps that the Lord ordered for him. But when time came, he presented his body a living sacrifice. He didn't complain and gripe and whine. I'm sure in his moments, why me, Lord? Chris Christopherson, why me, Lord? I'm sure in his darkest moments. I'm sure Rusty and Kinder, I'm sure Rusty cried out, Lord, I've spent my life trying to rescue children. Why, Lord? Trust in the Lord with all of your heart. You lean not into your own understanding, but in all of your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. So the rest of us, what's the lesson we learn? What's the lesson that we learned from the death of Jeremiah? What's the lesson we learned from the glory and the dignity in which the Thomas family received such a tragedy? Are we prepared to do that? Are you prepared to do that? Are you prepared to watch a family member die gloriously? Do we even talk about that? Do we even teach that? When we point out heroes to our children, do we really point out the Jeremiahs? Or do we point out the Beyoncés? Or the Tim Tebows? Worldly success. I don't know, man. I don't even have an answer. But I know this. We're not teaching it to our kids. We're not teaching. As those of you who are watching this show right now, you ask your precious child, could your precious son have died with that dignity and that glory and that honor for the Lord? Could you as a family have embraced death the way they did? It humbles me, it shames me. Somebody roll in here, man. I don't even know where to go next. I got stuff I could do.
Hey, it's interesting, Coach. I didn't know. You know, yesterday afternoon, I had looked at a short video on the life of a guy by the name of Charles Bronson, and how he rose from poverty in the coal mines of Pennsylvania and went on to become a successful in his craft of, acting. And, and then in the end, he got Alzheimer's, and, even all of the money and success couldn't really save him. And then I thought of that old saying that we've all heard it: soon this life will pass, only the things done for Christ will last. And it just reminded me of all that stuff is vanity. You can't take it with you. You can't take it with you.
And remember this, folks. God sits outside of time. So this span of 17 years for Jeremiah or 65 for me, ain't nothing to the Lord. Ain't no time. Hey, Jared, pull up the thing that says duty. Mark Harrington sent me this morning. I don't think he sent it to me for the show, but I thought it's pretty profound. If we can get it up there. What are you dying for, man? All of us, we're all dying. What are we dying for? So Jared's pulling this up here. Bear with me a second. I pulled a fast one on Jared if I wasn't ready. Guy named N.D. Wilson said this. Sometimes standing against evil is more important than defeating it. The greatest heroes stand because it is right to do so. Not because they believe they will walk away with their lives. Such selfless courage is a victory in itself. Man.
Amen.
Amen.
Hey, Coach, can I chime in here just a little bit?
Please do, Kevin.
We, you hit it right there. Jeremiah, the victorious death that he has now had, and stop and think about the lives that he's touched over the last several months as he's going through this. He's got the attention of the governor of the state of Texas. He's got the attention of a high-profile center linebacker by the name of Sean Lee. I'm going to tell you, this young man, as you have said, is going to make a bigger splash in the lives of so many people than John McCain ever will.
Amen. Amen. And as much as you can glory in that, the reality is Rusty Thomas lost his son. He gave up his son. His ways are not our ways, and his thoughts are not our thoughts, and there's a way that seemeth right to a man. Amen. Somebody come on and lighten it up if you feel like lightening it up. There's a lot going on. Hey, God bless Jeremiah Thomas. God bless him. God bless him. He was such a warrior in death. God bless Kendra and Rusty and that valiant fight that they fought. Did you know Rusty? Two things. Do you know Rusty has another son, his youngest son? Did you know his youngest son? I believe it's his youngest son. Help me, Michelle. His youngest son is named, you ready for this? Valiant Christian. Huh? That's his son's name.
No, actually, Jeremiah was his youngest, Coach.
Thank you.
1 year older. Valiant is awesome.
Valiant Christian. Thank you, man. Yep. Right, yes, that's right. That's just Valiant Christian. Wow, huh? And how about this? Jeremiah Flip. I didn't know that. Jeremiah's middle name. Yeah, Dale just corrected me. Jeremiah Flip, named after Flip Benham.
Yeah, Flip's doing that funeral service.
Flip is?
Yes. Yeah, that was already set in motion. I mean, you know me, Coach. I know this family. They've stayed at my house. When you start going through their kids' names, Shekinah, Micah, my goodness, Valiant, Jeremiah, Jubilee, Torah. I mean, Rusty, these children, they were dedicated unto the Lord from the womb, even in their name were these children committed unto the Lord.
Dale, do you have any word on when the funeral will be?
I will. I texted with Rusty last night, and I will have that info. I will be talking with him this afternoon.
All right.
I'm sure I will shoot him a text. I will shoot you a text because I don't want to burden. I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't want to either.
But I will be talking with him today.
Hey, Coach.
Yeah, George.
You said maybe lighten it up a little bit here for a minute. Did you get my text about my grandson this weekend? You know, my wife's grandmother passed this weekend. Did you get my text? Well, okay. Just a couple things. This will kind of lighten it up for a minute. You know, one thing I have to say is you won't have to, there will be no lies about Jeremiah at his funeral. It'll be very easy to say, obviously, what he did and what he stood for. You know, most funerals I go to, probably like most of you, it's amazing how the person became a saint after they died. And can you imagine at John McCain's funeral, all the lies that are going to be told? Well, anyway, my little 4-year-old grandson, this was so funny. He, at the viewing, my wife and I weren't at it, but our daughter-in-law told us about this. He asked for his mom's phone. And at the viewing of the grandmother, his great-grandmother, next thing Stacy knows, he's taking pictures of her in the casket. and then he asked his mom later, he said, can you text Mama in heaven? And she said, no, you can't text to heaven. And he looked at her like, you're crazy. Why can't you text her in heaven? and you know what? It really, that whole thing just showed me how brief life really is. It really is brief. But you know what? We should all be just praising the Lord that at Jeremiah's funeral, it's all going to be true. At John McCain's funeral, they're going to have to stretch, lie, deceive to really come up with how great a man he was.
And that's the truth, man. We don't even know how to measure greatness. Hey, Dale, I've gotten a couple emails already. As soon as you find out even the day that the funeral will be, because people are trying to make plans to come in there. So as soon as you can find that for us.
Like I said, I'm going to call Rusty, and once I get that, I'll just send you in a text message, brothers.
Yeah. We don't need the details when or where and all that stuff. Just the date would free some people up to make some plans to be there.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Anybody got any? Come on, somebody help rescue this thing. It's been well, it's I don't want to say morbid. Yeah. Yes.
I got a question for you. You started off right before we went on air about Facebook.
Yeah, thank you, Ray.
You kind of pull us into that because I'm into the same boat.
Yes, let's figure this out, fellas, folks. Listen, I made the decision last night. I'm done with it. I'm done with Facebook. By the way, I know David Arthur's already been done with it. I'm done with Facebook. And there's still a lot of different places we can go, a lot of whatever. I've always used Facebook. I've used it as a ministry and thought-provoke thoughts. That's what I've tried to do. And I'm telling you, think this is crazy. I'm not going to cast my pearl before swine anymore. It's just unbelievable, the foolishness of the dialogue that takes place on Facebook.
That's right.
And not only that, you end up with enemies with people who are just, dare I say it, they're just freaking stupid. They have no spiritual enlightenment at all. And these are people who, for me, I have relationships with, who they carry themselves as Christians, and they're dumber than rocks when it comes to the things of the Lord. And I find out it causes me stress because I want to try to straighten them out. Not that I want to be right. I say, how can you be so stupid? How can you be so blind? And it causes great frustration. So I'm moving to someplace else, and I'm trying to figure out where that place might be. Now, David, are you in here? David, have you moved someplace yet?
Well, Coach, I opened up. I've had one for a while, actually, on socialcross.org and on Gab, and I think I'm going to stick with two. We also got an invite for Real.video to have a channel on there, so we're going to be working on that too, working on our channel on there, and eventually I want to leave Twitter and YouTube completely.
Hang on a second, David. Folks, listen, this is important. I can't support them anymore. See, you say, well, YouTube's free, Facebook's free. No, it isn't, but they wouldn't be making billions of dollars. So Facebook is obviously making money off of it. YouTube is obviously making money off of it. And I can't in good conscience tweet. I don't even tweet. I can't in good conscience continue to do that. I'm going to make somebody money. I want it to go to a righteous cause. Go ahead, David.
Yeah. Well, also, I'm also going to, little by little, I'm going to work my way off of Google, Gmail, Google completely. You know, I've really been convicted that last week it was so clear. Facebook is not the world. The world, now some of the world is on Facebook and we want to reach them. They're not seeing our posts because we're being sent.
No.
Some of the world is in the nightclub. Some of the world is in the bar. And are we going to the nightclub and we're going to the bar? And I don't mean are we going to stand outside? Are we going in? So why are we going into Facebook? Why are we on Facebook if we're not being received there? So it's just like going to the bathhouse. Well, don't stand outside. Go on in. Go on in. Get you a room. You can reach the lost. No, you're not going to do that. That's why, because you can't do that. So why do Facebook? So yeah, I completely deleted both of my accounts.
So David Heavener, whose picture I got right up on the screen there, I'm holding his card. David Heavener said to me, not even about that issue, but he said, "Why are you making them money, Coach?" So what? Because why are you making money for YouTube and Facebook? I didn't have a very good answer for that one.
You know, the disciples had disagreements over who should go where, or whether people should even go to certain destinations. Not everybody is called to go to the same mission field. If they were, there would be a really crowded spot on the face of the earth.
Right. See,
I fully understand the leaving Facebook, and I've been tempted to do so myself. But it is still a viable field for reaping, for the purposes I use it for building some organizations to help our country. And I'm really hoping that those of you living Facebook, no problem, drive on. If that's what you're led to do, do it. That's where you belong, is following the unctions of the Holy Spirit and leading in your life. But please do not hold me in derision or condemn me because I'm staying there for the time being.
So Larry, I understand. David Davis said he's on Gab, Social Cross, MeWe, and I'm thinking about Minds. See, that's the problem. We don't know where to go, do we? We don't know where to go. Yeah, Jared.
From somebody who works on the internet, right? And you guys do too, a lot of you. But it's a tool. As soon as it becomes more than a tool, a communication tool, I'd say you better be careful. As soon in any way, social media on the internet. What about real social? Just real social, just being social. Like I talk to people in the lines at the grocery store, and they look at me like I'm a freaking alien. It's like, what's wrong with you? You're the weird one. I'm just trying to be a human being.
Yeah, amen. Yeah, Jared, that's the way that I see. For me, Facebook has exposed a lot of things for me. It's exposed a lot of my friends. It's exposed them, and I think it's stuff that you probably suspect. But once you get exposed, once you see, you understand. You understand them better. And so the point that I was making earlier is when it begins to impact me, I've got a problem. When I'm getting angry by what I'm reading, when I want to, you understand what I'm saying? That's what Facebook's become for me. Plus, somebody said it earlier. There ain't nobody watching this. I open up Facebook. I got it's the same feed I had yesterday. There may be something new on there. I see the same things over and over and over. Somebody said, "Oh yeah, well you have to figure out how to play the algorithms. If you learn to do this one and transfer this one and post it here, then your site comes." I ain't got time. I'm not going to do that. So I want to reach the world, as Larry said. I want to reach the world. I suppose part of the world's on Facebook, but I'm going to break that marriage relationship that I have with them. I don't know where I'm heading. I'll let y'all know when I'm heading. I'm just giving you a fair warning. It ain't going to be there. I won't give Zuckerberg one more nickel.
And you know what? I think if we start utilizing our actual websites more, generate more traffic to our websites, because that's how it was in the beginning before all the social media. Everybody went to your website and they saw everything and they followed the website, and that's how. And that way, if it's just on your website, then we have much more time to be where. To be out in the streets where we belong.
That's right. Get off of social media and get out to where the
Coach.
Amen. Hey, Mark.
Hey, y'all are absolutely on track, and what David's saying there is true. Is if you could direct traffic to your website, so the way it really used to work is you share your website link with all of your other friends, and they put your link on their website, and that increases your search engine optimization. But it's all about driving people to your website that can elevate you in searches and things. Amen. But by dispersing your presence across these social platforms, you're reducing your penetration. So there's something to be said about leaving these platforms, possibly. But like Larry said, there's also room to bring in people that are like-minded, people who are in the gray area. Yeah. They're not going to leave you and abandon you on Facebook, but they're the people you want to reach. So it's a big decision either way.
Now, 99 out of 100 posts that I make on Facebook directs people to a website. Most of the time, it's the two that I'm involved with, but sometimes it's others. But I hardly ever put a post on there that's just a standalone post just for people on Facebook to take for what it says. My use of Facebook is to direct people to websites.
Yeah,
Coach, I think Jared was on the money when he said, you see, God's ways are not our ways, and we look at man's ways as Facebook, how many friends we got, or how many, I don't even know what they're called. I don't have any of that stuff, but how many followers they all have, and we think the more followers we have, the more people we're going to reach. But I think Jared was right when he said, like, he goes into a store and he talks to the person in the line. That's God's ways. That's that. It's about making disciples. We might reach 10,000 people, followers, but how many disciples have we made on there? How many people have we touched? God's ways aren't our ways. We're looking at man's ways of reaching out, sharing, being the mega broadcasting thing, but it's the few. God will always use the few, and it's doing that sure. One thing. You never know how many you will reach with that. So,
and I'm thinking that even right now, I got however many followers I got a lot of them. Well, 3/4 of them are following me because they think I'm an idiot. You understand? Ain't much discipleship going on with that. So, listen. I want to raise up and train up men. That's what I want to do. And I want to hook some fish. Certainly want to do that when I go fishing. I want to catch some fish. So we all have to just decide where that platform might be. So I'm just giving you a heads up for where I am. I don't even, wouldn't you love to find out, Mark Trump or Jared or somebody, how many people really see your posts? I'd love to know that. If I knew how many people were seeing my posts, I think I would answer a lot of these questions for us, right? What do they say? There's 1 billion people on Facebook or something like that. 1 billion? How many people are seeing what you're sticking on there? I think we're fooling ourselves about what's going on. Okay, it's 7:59. I rejoice that Jeremiah Thomas is in the hands of the Lord, no longer suffering. I rejoice that Ecclesiastes 7 said that more glorious in the eyes of the Lord are the day of his death rather than the day of his birth, that he ran his race well. He's finished his course. He kept the faith. And I think all of us now just turn our prayers to the comfort of the family, the honor of knowing Jeremiah and the honor of knowing that family and the way they lived and the way that they died is an example for all of us. Thanks for being with us today. God bless you. See you tomorrow.